Habitat loss is the greatest threat to our flats fisheries. That's why Bonefish and Tarpon Trust has been committed to restoring and conserving essential fish habitat for more than 25 years. From Florida to Belize, from the Bahamas to Mexico, we're restoring natural flows, replanting mangroves, and opposing unwise coastal development. But we can't do it alone. Help us bring science to the fight for the future of the fisheries we love. Become a member today at btt.org.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Welcome to the Casting Across Fly Fishing Podcast. I'm Matthew of castingacross.com, where I explore the quarry and culture of fly fishing. Well, it's been a few weeks, but I think now is when we're going to talk about my experience at the 2026 Fly Fishing Show. Now, if you're listening to this in real time, you have opportunity to go to shows in Washington, California, and Lancaster. And of course, there is a small chance that I will make it down to Lancaster in March of 2026, but right now it's not on the books. But there's also plenty of other fly fishing expo events. I mean, the fly fishing show is the big one, but even just in the last few days, I've seen so many that have been advertised in parts of the Northeast and even down into the Midwest and the Southeast. So these kind of shows, even if they're not the big ones, are going to happen all over the place in the coming months. I even, talked about a really, really fun event last summer, dead center of summer, in Manchester, Vermont, that the American Museum of Fly Fishing put on. So this podcast episode has benefits for you no matter when you listen to it, maybe even if you're anticipating going to the show in 2027 and you're kind of doing some back catalog research. But what are we talking about? Well, first I'm going to talk a little bit about my presentations, the ones that went well and the one that didn't go so well. And then I'll talk about some of the things that I observed, some folks I talked to, some brands that I interacted with, and some presentations I sat in on. And just the thing I want to say again, I mentioned this a few weeks ago, a lot of the folks that were manning tables at the fly fishing show, they're small businesses. It is not all of the big guys that are there. Just because it's a big event doesn't mean that this is, a bunch of multi-million or certainly billion-dollar corporations that are manning these booths. This is a lot of small businesses and folks who are, just a part of a larger organization that are who love fishing and wanting to share that with you and with me. And so a lot of these folks I'll be talking about here are small businesses. All right. So presentations, that's the first thing. So I had two presentations that I presented in both Marlborough, Massachusetts, and Edison, New Jersey. The first one was translating small stream skills to big water. This is one I've done a few years now, and it's well attended because I think it resonates with people. People are comfortable fishing small trout streams, and that may be a trickle or that may be a 30-foot wide freestone, but this presentation is all about taking those skills, the ability to really stay in the middle of a stream and cast from bank to bank. And if you can do that and you can figure out where fish lie and how to make those presentations in that environment, then you have every skill you need to go to a large river, a river that is expansive and maybe even intimidating, and catch fish. If you want to know more about that, I actually recorded an abbreviated version of that presentation a few weeks ago, and you can listen to it here on Casting Across. The second presentation was Backcountry Trout. I think it's called Gear and Tactics. I think that's what the subtitle was. But this one was fantastic. The first one was good, but this one was fantastic. I had more audience participation in this one than I did in the first one. Lots of great questions about how to find spots to fish just in the backcountry. And for my purposes, I kind of set this up as the extreme example, which is me doing trail running to get deeper and further into the woods, but really how you can dial that back and just move a little bit further than most other folks want to go. And also just do a little bit of research in trying to find new water to fish and how you can accomplish the same thing. So folks had questions about how to do that. Folks had questions about gear. This was a lot of fun because people were asking questions about rod choice, about footwear, about packing, things like that. And it was a really good engagement, so I had a lot of fun doing that. The big letdown, however, was I was slated to do something new in the late afternoon of Saturday in Marlborough, Massachusetts. No, excuse me, in Edison, New Jersey. There was an author panel talking about guidebooks. And this weekend, the big albatross around the show's neck was a massive snowstorm. And of course, massive is the asterisk of this is for New Jersey, right? Massive snowstorm that was moving in Saturday evening. And so what ended up happening is a lot of folks who had to travel west and south, and to a certain degree north, they just had to bail. And so over half my panel had to bail. A couple guys stuck around, and I kind of felt bad pulling out, but it just wouldn't have been the same without the full crew that had planned on being there. So hopefully I can arrange something like this next year. There's definitely some interest in it, so I feel bad that I had to pull back on it, but I think it was the right thing to do. The folks that did have to leave were appreciative that I said, don't worry about it. The show must go on, but it's not going to go on with this part of the show. And it ended up snowing pretty good all over the place. A lot of folks that were at the show ended up staying an extra night. The hotel was accommodating. The fly fishing show organizers did a good job of kind of making that happen and making that work for people that were essentially stuck there. And I only, because I'm a pastor, I am only at the shows Friday and Saturday anyway. And so this allowed me to get home at a reasonable hour. So anyway, those are my presentations. They were a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. Had some good conversations with folks at some TU chapters who attended who are interested in having me come and speak at their chapters. So that'll be fantastic. Let's talk about some other presentations that I sat in on that were a lot of fun. Steve Colton's on the Farmington River was excellent. It's a presentation that I really like, his style of presenting. I've seen other ones like this for places all over the country and all over the world. My sons and I sat in one in Alaska, in Marlborough, but Steve Colton's in Edison on the Farmington River in Western Connecticut was fantastic. He has a book coming out on the topic, so all this stuff is even more fresh in his mind in a very organized way because of his book. So if you live in New England or the Northeast, this is a really cool fishery, and he does a great job of breaking it down. And so that was a lot of fun to sit in on. Also sat in on some New Hampshire presentations, which I appreciate, especially ones that really focus on places where I fish and my boys fish. And so they like doing that. They like sitting in on those. And then some other Massachusetts ones. Abby Schuster had one on fishing the Martha's Vineyard and the Cape there, and so that was a lot of fun to see that one. I'd seen it again with my boys previous years, but this is nice to see a component that she's added to it is shore fishing and wade trips. So for DIY anglers, there's a lot of benefit that goes into that. And I popped my head into a lot of different fly tying sessions and a lot of other seminars and watched here and there for 15, 20 minutes just to get a flavor of what's going on. So there's a lot of good presentations. Tim Flagler's both his fishing presentations and his fly tying presentations are top notch. If you watch him on Instagram, his Tightline video account, and you have a chance to see him live at your fly shop or at one of these events, definitely do it. He's a fantastic communicator. And really, one of the things that I've said before is a lot of people know how to fish, and a lot of people know how to tie flies, but not a lot of people know how to talk about it in an articulate and helpful way. And so Tim Flagler definitely is a prime example of someone who can do that. All right, so let's dive into some of the folks that I looked at. Once again, a lot of small businesses here. But I want to start out right from scratch saying I had some really good conversations with two different folks at booths. One was an organization out of Smyrna, Georgia, called Reeling for Serenity. And another one is called Adam's Parachute, and this is out of Massachusetts. And these are both addiction recovery-based fly fishing programs. And just really cool stories, particularly Adam's parachute was just a really interesting story, one that I'm hoping to maybe talk more about in coming months here on Casting Across. But there's actually some folks that had been in the program that were at the booth one of the days, and they just kind of spoke from their heart about how it had been helpful for them and their family. And that was really, really cool. I mean, at the end of the day, hearing stories like that make attending these shows worth it for me. It's fun to cast the fly rods. It's fun to see friends and things like that. And that's awesome. But honestly, this and then like the casting for recovery ladies that I talked to, it's something that you're not going to get online. You're not going to get from a book. It's worth the price of admission. I truly believe it. Having these conversations with these folks, again, casting for recovery, Project Healing Waters, things like that. For me, I absolutely love it. It might not be your bag. That might be the thing that you're not into, but personally, hearing about these stories from the mouths of the folks that had been through these programs was fantastic. So again, Casting for Recovery, women's cancer, particularly breast cancer recovery program. So good. And that's a group that, especially the ladies in Massachusetts, because I bring my kids with me, year after year, they quick to remember my boys. And it's just an example of the community that is in fly fishing. All right. Other groups that are like that. So I had a chance to talk to the good folks from the American Museum of Fly Fishing. They were down in New Jersey, and but I mean they're only a couple hours from me here in New Hampshire because they're in Manchester, Vermont. And again, what an awesome organization AMFF is. I talk a little bit about one of their initiatives, one of their awards they give out about writing in a video that I put out a few weeks ago. But if you have not been on the AMF website, definitely do so. If you live in New England, definitely make Manchester a destination sometime this year. And yeah, go to Orvis, fish the bat and kill, but check out the American Museum of Fly Fishing. So definitely fun to talk to them, and picked up some old back issues of their journal, some fantastic writing that you will see there. All right, moving on to more kind of commercial stuff. Rock Spring Nets. If you are looking for a fishing net, I highly recommend Rock Spring Nets. They're out of Maryland, and the way they design these nets, they kind of change the grip. So it fits in your hand so much better. Go to their website. It's rockspringnets.com. Handmade, very, very light nets, and they're wood. So I honestly like the feel and the look of a wooden net. I own some composite nets, but these are really good, and the way they feel in your hand, it's just so simple. I can't believe nobody else has done it, but definitely check out Rock Spring Nets. Good people making good stuff. Another booth that I had a lot of fun at was Batcast Vintage. I maybe spent more time at Batcast Vintage than I spent anywhere else over the course of the show, and that was talking to the folks that were there. They are from the West, Colorado, I believe, and they had books, they had rods, they had reels, they had miscellany, they had a bunch of Richardson chest boxes, which if you are from the Mid-Atlantic, particularly Pennsylvania, you know about those, and they had a lot of those, and they were fun to look at. So Batcast Vintage, the gent who runs, his name is John Solo. I talked to his wife for quite a while. Just great people doing great stuff, and again, if you know me, you know I like old fly fishing things, particularly old books, and they had them. They had a I think it was a 18th century copy of The Complete Angler, and I rescued it from being stuck in between two just run-of-the-mill paperbacks. And the next day they had it out on display. So we had some good conversations about that. All right. Oh, real quick before I move into fly rods, because who doesn't want to talk about fly rods? I was flagged down. That happened a handful of times. Because I'm a quote-unquote celebrity. Real quick story. So if you speak at the fly fishing show, but you don't have a booth, then your name tag says celebrity on it. This was the source of great joking by my family last year when my wife got in the car after the fly fishing show and picked up my name tag, and she said, "Oh, I didn't know I was married to a celebrity." and my boys got a hold of that. So I actually made little casting across stickers and put them over that. But anyway, people, a handful of people grabbed me, not because I'm a celebrity, certainly not, but just because of, I'm all over the fly fishing internet. And if they follow me, then they see my face. And one guy that flagged me down, this is awesome, his name John Turvey. His handle on social media is Flatwing Flinger, and he lives in Massachusetts now, ties flies, but he was a youth at the conservation camp that I directed about 15, 20 years ago down in Pennsylvania. And so he saw me and he flagged me down and we had a great conversation. And he was talking about how impactful that camp was. And it certainly was for me. You've heard me talk about it, but it was fun to hear that from him. All right, let's talk real quick about some fly rods. So I mentioned this last week, but I just want to go over them again real quick. Had a great time at the Farbank booth. So that's Sage, Reddington, and Rio. Reddington's new rod they have come out, their big game rod, is a lot of fun to cast at a very, very reasonable price. If you fish for bass, if you fish for pike, if you fish for muskie, if you fish for carp, if you fish for trout with big streamers, then these are rods that are definitely worth checking out, especially their 8-foot 3-inch models. I would not be surprised if one of those ends up in my closet sometime in these next few months. Another brand that was new to me was the Woof Fly Rod Company. It's WHUFF, and they are out of Georgia, I believe. And their kind of way they do things is cool. Each rod is different, so it's not like they've got, this is the whatever rod series. They've got like 9 rods. Each one's unique. Each one has a unique colorway. One's fiberglass, the rest are graphite, and most of them have that medium to medium fast action, which is a lot of fun. I cast their 6-weight, the fish whistle it's called, and it was a lot of fun to cast after casting a lot of fast rods over the course of the weekend. So check them out. Another one that I liked casting and talking to the gent behind it is Wicked Fly, which is he is down in the Southwest now, but he is from New England, hence the Wicked and Wicked Fly. And his 3-weight was a blast to cast. Real snappy little tip, but very light, very delicate fly rod. Just a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed it. Douglas fly rods. I've been fishing Douglas really since they came on the scene, and I've mostly fished their very lightweight stuff, their upstream series. But they have just recently redone one of their core rods, and that was a lot of fun to check that one out. Lots of other good stuff too. The new Recons from Orvis are worth looking at if you are wanting a high performance rod that's kind of in that mid range. They're amazing. Amazing fly rods using so much of that same technology that gets used in the Helios series, but with a little bit of a different action. These are going to be a complete workhorse for you if you're looking for just a rod that you can do anything ever with, and just a ton of different lengths and weights that are available. So definitely take a look at them. All right, hey, let's talk about art real quick. A bunch of different artists, a bunch of different folks worth checking out. So one of the ones that I thought was really cool was Live Edge Exclusives. Live Edge Exclusives. You've seen those tables that have the epoxy or the resin poured into them. He does that, but he was a hydrologist by trade before he started getting into this, and so he assured me, the rocks, the bubble lines, all those things are exactly where they're supposed to be. You can take a picture or send a coordinates of your river that you want, and he will make that river or that stretch of that river on a fly tying bench, on a table, on a charcuterie board, and it's pretty cool stuff. I mean, it's one of those things where if you've got everything, this is something you don't have yet. So Live Edge Exclusives, you can definitely look at them. Meg Davies Design. I was bummed out. I did not talk to them earlier. I walked that show floor, I don't know how many times in New Jersey, but I didn't see them until right when I was leaving. So it was very hurried, snap a few pictures, introduce myself, grab a business card. And then when I got home, I checked out their stuff. And they are so close to where I spend weeks and weeks when I'm down in Virginia. So I'll definitely check out their studios that they have artwork in down there. But Meg Davies Design, really cool stuff. Fish, flies. She has other things as well. But just really cool aesthetic in her artwork. Keen and Bright. Keen and Bright. The glass balloon. Dwight Yoder is the gent's name. He's in Western Maryland. He does trout and he does antlers. And they're really cool. So, kind of once again, if you are not the type to have a mounted fish on the wall, then you can get a blown glass brook trout. And they're really cool looking. So that's Keen and Bright. Keen-bright.com. Another art option is the good folks at the Forge Fly. Matt Hart and his wife were at the show. If you have not seen his artwork, you absolutely need to check it out. So this is the tagline to his Forge Fly is "Fly Tying Gone Metal," and it absolutely is that. These are big metal flies, and it's not that you can buy like a stamped like silhouette of a fly, but then he also ties flies that are, between 14 and 24 inches long out of various metals and welds them together. Super cool. Bare minimum, follow him on Instagram so you can see all of his different pieces. Another one that was kind of cool for me was Creekside Fly and Tackle. Braden Story is the owner of this shop. It's in Pennsylvania, in Leola, which is kind of south central Pennsylvania, more on the Lancaster side of things. But he also does artwork. He grew up skateboarding, and so he kind of brought some of that aesthetic and feel to his fly shop, and then his display at the show was fantastic. But some of the artwork that he puts out of fish is just really, really cool. He has this awesome little sunfish that I'm kind of kicking myself I didn't buy a little print of, but definitely check that out certainly if you're in the area. He has a cool vibe for his shop. I've been checking his stuff out on social media over the last few weeks. All right. If you want to fly fish in New Jersey, you should definitely talk to Lou DeGina or Bart Lombardo. Bart is Panfish on the Fly, and Bart and Lou know their stuff for fly fishing in a part of not just the United States, but a part of the world you wouldn't expect there to be amazing fish. But we had dinner a few times, and the fish pictures they showed me of what they catch when they're guiding makes me want to go and fish out of South Branch Outfitters there in New Jersey. Talk to the good folks at Dark Skies Fly Fishing, and as I'll mention here in a moment, I'm still writing articles for their magazine. But if you are not at least reading the sample, the free sample of Dark Skies Fly Fishing, do yourself a favor and do so. I don't know if any of my pieces have made it to the free sample, but yeah, because they're paywalled. That's how quality casting across fly fishing writing is. But Dark Skies Fly Fishing. There's so many other folks I could mention. I talked to a number of authors. I talked to the good folks at Cross Current Insurance. If you are thinking about starting up some sort of outdoors-based program and you want the appropriate insurance that you need, having run that fly fishing camp for a number of years, I know how important it is to not only have insurance, but have insurance for somebody who understands the needs. It sounds like a commercial. I'm just saying, just call the folks at Cross Current. They will take care of you. Rollin and Augusta will take care of you. And that's probably it. I talked to, I don't know how many people, dozens, hundreds, but that's just a quick kind of recap of some of the things that I saw at the show. If you want to know kind of how I approach attending events like this, you can go listen to one of those other podcasts that I recorded about that. But today, I really just wanted to go through, really it's a stack of business cards and notes of folks that I interacted with. There's, again, plenty more I could say. Oh, one other one. Teton Tools. They're out of Wyoming, Colorado. I'm drawing a total blank, so they didn't have a business card. But they make, get this, they make forceps that are ambidextrous, which that was immediately my mind went to that because I have at least one child, the baby might be doing this also, who's left-handed. So everything's a little bit squirrely for him. So definitely check out Teton Tools because they not only are they ambidextrous forceps, but they are really good forceps. If I slow down, I could probably think of, another dozen or so Grundens. That stuff is so cool. They're giving away free hats. And now it's like one of my new hats that I'm wearing all the time. But they're flip-flops. If you are looking for flip-flops, then definitely consider Grundens. They have some really, really cool stuff. All right, I'm going to put a pause on it. If I did not mention your booth or your presentation and I was there, I'm sorry. But I am just a man. I am limited in my capacity. But know that I appreciated you. All right, this week on Casting Across, Monday's article is called Dark Skies Fly Fishing, February-March 2026, in which you can read Trout in the Hollers. This is my profile of fly fishing Shenandoah National Park. Much more could be said and much more has been said about fly fishing Shenandoah National Park, but if you want a quick synopsis of it, including some beautiful pictures of some little wild brook trout, then you can check out Dark Skies Fly Fishing. Either grab this grab this issue, the February-March issue, or subscribe. Subscribe for a year. There's so much quality stuff in there. You would be very, very happy to do it. You can also read my book review of an amazing book, a tremendous book on flies that were tied at the turn of the century by one Mary Orvis Marlborough. Wednesday's article, video, enjoying relatively unknown books. So, I have books that I bought, 30 years ago now. Not 30, probably more like 28. That I haven't read for 20 plus years. And an example of a book like that is called Fly Fishing, Life in the Midstream. And this was by Taran Tirana. And I probably got this as one of my first 5 fly fishing books. It's always been on my shelf. Every once in a while I'll grab it. I've probably moved it from house to house more than I have read it in the last 25 years. But I talk about how a book that is relatively unknown and obscure is still a good book and worth checking out if you come across it. So if you at all are interested, then I would say check it out. All right, this week's recommendation on the podcast is volunteer. So I was talking, like I said before, to the good ladies at Casting for Recovery, and they said, hey, if you ever want to help someone fish, it's a relatively easy process, relatively easy to get you onboarded. What would you think about that? And I thought, well, why wouldn't I? So it's on my list of things to do. But, a lot of the stuff I talk about in this section, particularly with the recommendations, is things you can get. Books, rods, reels, floating holders like last week, other pieces of gear, information. Today I'm recommending, whether it be Casting for Recovery, whether it be Project Healing Waters, whatever it may be, the numerous small grassroots programs that help people. Mayfly Project was another one that was there. Just give back. Whether it be send a dozen flies. When I was running the fly fishing camp for teens, that was one of the biggest needs, honestly. We would have enough people to kind of help the kids fish, but putting together 30 fly boxes of, a couple dozen flies, that required, 24 people to tie, to tie 30 flies, right? And so that was a lot. So if you can give back, if you can help in some way, definitely do that. So look around, find some place to help, and give back. Thanks for listening to the Casting Across Fly Fishing podcast. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app and rate the podcast in Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Then head over to castingacross.com for 3 posts a week on the people, places, and things that go into the pursuit of fish.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Tap the banner to learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number, 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.